It is exactly 36 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to Sunday Live here at Citizen Television. Now, with the election of the next African Union chairperson just 5 months away, Kenya officially unveiled its candidate, that's right, Baba Raila Odinga, on Tuesday at State House in Nairobi.
In the presence of her neighbors, Odinga outlined his vision for the continent as President William Ruto's administration presented him as the best man for the job. But how is Kenya approaching this election 7 years after Cabinet Secretary in Uhuru's government, Amina Mohamed's loss? What will success or loss mean for the country? It was pomp and ceremony at the official unveiling of Raila Odinga as Kenya's candidate for the position of African Union Commission Chair.
Benefit of every nation.
In attendance, heads of state from the region, former heads of state, ministers and ambassadors. All protocols observed.
From today onwards, the candidate will intensify his continental engagements by traveling far and wide to present himself to the leadership of African states.
We don't want to see Africans to be divided as Anglophones, Francophones, Lusophones. I want them to be Africaphones.
Raila Odinga, a fixture in Kenyan politics, now seeks to make his mark on the continental stage as AUC chair.
I'm not going to be very active in Kenyan politics henceforth, as I continue now to focus my attention on the continental campaign.
Odinga is a man who has been a candidate in many a campaign, and ascending to the AUC chairman is not a challenge he or Kenya appear to have taken lightly with the formation of a campaign secretariat.
I was myself pleasantly surprised that Kenya government said they would support me. I was expecting them to say no. I don't know the reason why they said yes.
Raila Amolo Odinga has got the requisite experience. As I said in another forum, he has seen both hot and cold. And Africa is beaming with both hot and cold.
But the bid for AUC chair has been described as more of a steeplechase than a marathon, with several hurdles to overcome. Among them, the recognition of the Sahrawi Republic, which is considered among factors that contributed to Amina Mohamed's failed bid to ascend to AUC chair in 2017.
My name is Raila Amolo Odinga.
The Israel-Palestine divide is another minefield, and Kenya has opted for neutrality, if not strategic vagueness. The last time Kenya bid for the AUC chair position, it was confident in its candidate's chances. Amina Mohamed, however, later shed tears when it emerged that some of Kenya's neighbors did not vote for her. Kenya accused of arrogance and a disjointed campaign led by a ministerial team as opposed to seasoned diplomats with a grasp of the inner workings of the AU. Given it's now the 14 member states' eastern region's turn to chair the commission, Kenya takes another run at the AUC chair. The election 5 months away, scheduled for February 2025. But between then and now is a live televised debate where the candidates take questions from the continent at large. But ultimately, the rubber will meet the road when heads of state and government assemble in Addis Ababa to elect the chair and deputy chair by secret ballot, where for one to win, a 2/3 majority of the 55 member states eligible to vote is required. Odinga is up against Djibouti's Foreign Affairs Minister Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, former Mauritanian Foreign Minister Anil Kumar Singh, and Richard James, former Foreign Minister of Madagascar. Yusuf of Djibouti is, however, considered to be his strongest competitor.
Oh, nice package there.
No, thank you.
Well done, good job.
Thank you very much.
Joining us live from New York City, the veteran diplomat. He has a CV that...
Veteran already?
Well,
is he that
he's been there,
seasoned?
He's been there for a while, and he has a CV that's extremely impressive, right? Ambassador Martin Kimani, he is now the executive director at the Center on International Cooperation at NYU, New York University. But you have his CV. Go and read it.
Yes, let's take a look at his credentials. As Jeff has already covered what he's doing now, but he's also an Institute of Global Politics Carnegie Distinguished Fellow 2024 to 2025. Prior to that, let's take a look at what he's managed to accomplish for the country. And he was Kenya's permanent representative to the United Nations between 2021 and 2024. President of the UN Security Council in October of 2021. Special envoy. Remember the statement he made on the Ukraine-Russia situation?
Yes, I remember.
Special envoy for countering violent extremism for the president in Kenya, Director, National Counterterrorism Center, as well as permanent rep, that is permanent representative, UNEP and UN Habitat. His academic credentials read as such. He has an MA and PhD in War Studies from the King's College London and a BA Philosophy from the University of New Hampshire. I'm not sure I pronounced that last one right, did
New
I?
Hampshire, yeah, you're fine. New Hampshire's fine. Yeah,
Good. So you want to go first?
Well, we've blown so much smoke up his skirt. Well, is he going to be able to answer any questions now?
I was worried where that was going.
Karibu Balozi, good to see you.
Oh, great seeing you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So look, this AU chairmanship, Balozi, and you know, it could go anywhere. We don't know which way it's going to go, but we have to ask you. You've been in this business. You've been there before. So we ask you, what are Raila Odinga's chances?
Well, thanks, Jeff and Olive. It's great to speak to you. His chances are good. He's a strong candidate. He has the Kenyan government behind him. The Eastern African region needs to produce one candidate. So far, that's not been possible. So he's going to have to compete for the position. And like you said at the top of this segment, the Djiboutian foreign minister is probably his strongest opponent. You will recall that Djibouti was competing with Kenya for the elective seat to the Security Council 3 years ago, and it was extremely difficult winning for Kenya. So this is going to be a rehash of that competition. He has a good chance, but he has an equally good chance of missing the spot because the Djiboutian foreign minister is coming with a lot of experience and strong endorsements from regional organizations.
So what would this chairmanship mean for Kenya? We went after it in 2017. Musa Faki, to use a Kenyan colloquial term, alipita katikati yao, Amina and the Senegalese candidate. But why would this be critical for Kenya?
Well, the chairperson of the commission does not represent Kenya. And in fact, any real show of promoting Kenyan interests would not be taken well, and the chairperson would come under considerable pressure. So I'm not sure that Kenya is going to, in itself, win anything out of the chairing, other than the prestige of having one of its citizens heading the African Union Commission. Now, of course, Kenya is seeking this position not due to technocratic reasons, but due to political ones. Kenya wants to promote Raila Odinga because of his political profile, because of our internal political dynamics. And so him going to the African Union, I think, will be a considerable victory for him on a personal level. It'll be an indication of the Ruto administration's ability to win a continental race, something which Kenya has struggled to do since we won the non-permanent position in the Security Council. And it'll profile our diplomacy and its ability to get results continentally.
Balozi, at the end of the day, and you've spent time on the continent, does it boil down to Anglophone and Francophone votes? Is that what it boils down to?
It boils down to the determination of the states backing these candidates, their ability to wield leverage and put financial resources into the race. The fact of the matter is that there's going to be strong opposition to Raila's candidature. The Organization of Islamic Conference has endorsed the Djiboutian foreign minister. He is counting on the Francophone-Anglophone divide. You have 27 African members of the Organization of Islamic Conference. You have 26 or so countries that identify as Francophone. 18 are both Francophone and OIC members. I would assume a significant number, if not all of that number, is going to back the Djiboutian foreign minister. Then you will have the candidate Raila's stances are very Pan-Africanist. And one of those has been the endorsement and strong support for Sahrawi and its quest for self-determination. And that automatically comes with a strong opposition from countries such as Morocco, who will lend their weight to other candidates who can counter that.
The last bid Kenya made in 2017 quite literally ended in tears. Do you think that there are lessons Raila's campaign team can take from that experience?
Well, first, I wish Honorable Raila all the very best. I think he is such a strong candidate. But what a job to look out to go and get. This is a brutal job, unlike any other job he has probably ever done before. Also, unlike any other job any of the other candidates has ever done before. You have countries that have had unconstitutional changes of government across the Sahel, from Guinea, from the west of Africa to the east of Africa and Sudan is a coup belt. You have terrorist groups, you have possible war between Egypt and Ethiopia over the Nile. You have insurgencies in the DRC, in Mozambique. And in each one of these conflicts, the commission chairperson is going to have to provide some level of technical and political leadership. It will be exhausting. And the question is whether Kenya is going to support this candidature, not just with the political support now, but by seconding experienced officers, experienced diplomats to the chairperson's office. This is what other countries have done, most notably South Africa, during the time of Madam Zuma's chairing. So Kenya is going to need to invest considerable resources if they want Raila to be a winning chairperson.
And of course,
Raila is going to want to. Yeah.
Sorry, but of course it helps if you can speak the language of the continent, right? The official languages, French, English, Arabic, which, Baba is kind of lacking in those, huh?
Well, he may be lacking in French, but what he has is political fortitude. And a lot of the problems that are happening around Africa right now need a chairperson who has the strength to take the pressure and to chart the right course. And so Raila is many things, but he is not politically a person who shrinks before the task. He is ready to look eyeball to eyeball to the dozens of pretty tough characters who are perpetrating conflicts all over the continent. If he can bring to the job a straight spine and a real strength of principle, which I think he can, then he has the potential to be a standout African Union Commission chairperson.
And it's true, he may not, be multilingual, such as the Djibouti candidate, but unlike the other three candidates, he has a political background. Mm-hmm. The rest, I think two of them are former foreign affairs ministers, and one, the Djibouti candidate, is serving. But can we trust those who have vocalized their support of Raila Odinga when the rubber meets the road? Because in 2017, there were murmurings that Uganda abandoned Kenya on that course.
This is a secret ballot. In diplomacy, you can never trust an endorsement until the vote is given. In fact, many of those promising votes will probably vote differently because they're driven by very different interests, and some of them run counter to what they perceive to be Kenya's interest in this election. Make no mistake, Kenya has many friends, but Kenya also has rivals, and Kenya has charted a course of such diplomatic independence over the last few decades that we have sometimes stepped on toes that we may have been better served not to step on if we were not operating under our principles and our interests. So I would not trust those endorsements, nor would I really give a lot of trust to the flash and the noise of Kenyan campaigns. You will always observe Kenyan campaigns are the loudest campaigns in the African Union. Other countries, like the last time, did you hear anything from Chad? Did you hear anything about the Chadian candidate who later won? Not at all. This will not be won on the airways. It will not be won with press conferences. It will be won in the offices of ministers of foreign affairs and heads of state.
And you're a veteran diplomat, Balozi. You've been there. You've been on the ground. You've seen what it's like. And when Olive talks about the candidature of Amina Mohammed, that was almost a given. Everybody almost knew, and you were around then. I mean, everyone almost knew she was going to get that job. And last minute, she didn't get it. What does that say?
What an incredibly...
Go on.
Yeah, what an incredibly gifted diplomat Amina is. Amina is one of the people who I've worked for it's impossible to say no to her. So it would have been amazing for her to be the chairperson. She lost the race simply because money was put into the right hands at the right moment. Kenya did not do it, others did it.
And how important is it to have a nation rally around a candidate? One of the concerns that has been raised about all four candidates is how well they can connect with Gen Z. Gen Z showed us how much they can shake things up with the protests in June. How much of an important factor is reaching out to that demographic?
It is absolutely irrelevant to how the vote will turn out. And that is part of the problem of the African Union in its inability to connect with young Africans. And so it gives the appearance of old men speaking for young people. And so the reaching out to Gen Z is not itself going to affect the vote, but Gen Z is interested in this election. And I have seen Kenyan Gen Z speaking openly and with great passion about Kenya's politics and what they mean for this African Union election. I don't think that's going to sway the votes out there, but I would think that if Honorable Raila wins, he should institute a very, very strong youth engagement policy and think of his constituency not just as 55 member states, but also the billion or so people of Africa, and especially young ones. How can he do that? His team needs to look like the continent. His team needs young Africans in it who bring all the technological skill, the passion, the openness that he will need to be able to reach out. In a lot of these countries that are in conflict, the African Union is not felt. The African Union is a guy in a suit flying in to have secret conversations with the people that you're opposed to. That's going to need to change a bit.
So is this whole Mjadala Africa, the debate that is supposed to happen between the candidates, window dressing?
Yes, I think that's window dressing. I mean, it's not a bad thing. Look, diplomats go to great lengths to try and show that their world has levels of transparency, but of course it doesn't. Diplomacy is an elite business that hides its true intent. And so they will debate, but even in that debate, they'll be busy mouthing platitudes. No one will vote because of the platitudes. People will vote because of their interests. And what are their interests? Their interests are regime security, the maintenance of relations with global powers who have an interest in this election, gaining financial incentives for individuals and institutions, and assessing how a Raila or a Yusuf chairmanship is going to affect their specific interests. So whether that is in Sahrawi or on Gaza or on Ukraine, there's going to be lots of interest. And so this debate, which will be, very polite, it'll have a lot of good sound bites, will not in itself decide anything in the summit.
I don't know. How much of an influence do foreign powers have in this election?
Considerable, because the African Union, I think, is one of the world's most important organizations. Even though it is usually criticized for being weak, the African Union has a great deal of geopolitical relevance. So the position of the member states, and to the extent to which the chairperson of the commission rallies the voice or engages in ways that can help direct the African Union's actions or statements in one way or another, means that the African Union stance in Ukraine, is it for Ukrainian sovereignty and territorial integrity, or for Russia's claims of its security being threatened by NATO? On what side will the commission fall? When it comes to North Africa, the rivalries and conflicts going on there along the Nile. So the major powers are going to take a considerable interest in the chairperson, and not just a remote interest, but a financial and political one.
Good point, Balozi. Okay, we cannot let you go without asking you about Kenya's position in the world. You're at that listening point there in New York City. First of all, President Ruto was there a few months ago. He spent time at the White House. He got a great visit over there, a great welcoming. And of course, Kenya's police officers, 1,000 of them, in Haiti as we speak. Kenya's position out there, what do they think of us?
Well, that's a really complex question to answer. Had I been a diplomat, I'd have answered it, in a very subtle and opaque way. But to be very direct, Kenya has considerable political prestige, but Kenya, what to do with that prestige is a whole other bag. It's a whole other business. And so Kenya, for the last few months, has been completely distracted by its internal dynamics. Kenya is trying to focus on its fiscal crisis. Kenya is trying to focus on the Gen Z challenge. That is where Kenya is. Kenya is talking to itself right now. And the extent to which Kenya understands what it wants out of the world, I think right now what Kenya wants out of the world is some economic relief and perhaps investment. But Kenya is well considered. Kenya is respected, but Kenya is right now not focused on its foreign policy as its leading agenda.
You didn't mention about Haiti. Good thing, bad thing?
Well, let me first, just before getting into Haiti, let me say one of the things Kenya has traditionally done really, really well is mediation of conflict in our region. It means that Kenya has a considerable store of experience and excellence in these areas. I am waiting to see how Kenya makes use of that experience and excellence. I know there are Kenyans in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, at the Kenya Mission, who are champions, who are experts on files that Raila will need to deal with. Where are they? Are they engaged in this campaign? Not just a campaign, but the preparations. They need to be. There are not that many people who understand Sudan in Kenya the way 3 or 4 of the people in government right now do. So they need to be engaged. On Haiti, Kenya has stretched a great deal. This actually did not start the other day under President Ruto. It actually started when we were in the Security Council and President Kenyatta pledged to support Haiti, not by sending police or troops, but rather by raising the profile of our engagement with Haiti and the Caribbean. And then President Ruto came up and took that baton and really ran with it. What has happened since then? Our men and women are on the ground. They're doing a good job, but they have not been given sufficient support by the international community. The United States has given some support, but the trust fund in New York has $21 million. What they are being asked to do is not fair on them or on Kenya. They need to be supported, and Haiti needs to be brought peace and security adequately, not on the cheap. And what is happening, if you look at the kind of resources that the international community, and in brackets, that means the West, expending in Europe on Ukraine, expending on supporting Israel, and you compare that to the amount that they are using to support the MSS mission to Haiti, it is a scandal. And perhaps the Kenyan diplomats and diplomacy is too polite to say it openly, but they should be outraged. Our people should be well supported. They should be in the right equipment. They should be able to hold ground that they take, and they should be given exceptional facilitation and support. They deserve it because we have sent some of our best to Haiti. Can they do it? Absolutely. The Kenyan police that we have sent are more than up to the task. But it's not enough for us to rhetorically say that. We have to say if they're up to the task, their equipment and their facilitation needs to also be up to the task. I don't think that is being said enough, and I think it needs to be said more. If we are a non-NATO ally, of the United States, what does that mean for the Haiti mission? What does that mean in putting our men and women at risk without them having the right equipment? Where are the air assets? Where are the right assets for them to succeed? Kenya is also going to need to be clearer about what winning in Haiti means. I think there's such a misalignment in what people understand to be the end state of our deployment in Haiti. It needs to be clarified and it needs to be minimized. Kenya cannot solve Haiti's problems. Kenya and the MSS can only provide some room for the Haitians to take up their political responsibilities to have a proper election and erect a proper state. Kenya cannot do that for them. The maximized expectations of Kenya will lead to us being perceived as having failed. We need to be clear about what winning in Haiti means.
I'm so glad you're not a diplomat anymore, Mr. Ambassador. You just called it like you see it.
Kenyans deserve to know.
Ambassador Martin Kimani, good to talk to you as always, and all the very best. Good luck out there, and keep talking, and we'll engage you real soon. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Olive.
All right, on that note, we're going to take another break here on Sunday Live and let you know we still have our weekly feature, Citizen Planet, coming up.
Coming up.
Yep, and stay tuned for that. In the meantime, what are your thoughts? Keep tweeting at Konanga Jeff.
At Burrows at Citizen TV Kenya.
The hashtag is Sunday Live. Sunday Live takes a break. We'll be back in the meantime. Coming up.